Hey, message in a bottle. Name is Lance Huff. Play Like You Can is another channel of mine. I started this as a way of expressing myself. Should someone need to explain me, without really knowing me, and so I started these videos. Life-wise, it hasn't really changed since last week. This is about the second last week of September. Supergirl season 3 just came out, so if you're looking for a point of reference, that Tuesday, that is when this is taking place. Nothing really has changed as far as work still unfortunately is at Walmart is still not what I'd like it to be. It's really bad, and nothing's really come out in finding work. Things are level. Nothing really has changed since last time I spoke as far as that's concerned. There is something I really haven't discussed in these type of videos, is that I'm a story-based person, and in another life, I'd love to be a scriptwriter for shows like they have on the CW, Flash, The Arrow, and things like that. And it's not something that would have really been an option back when I was younger. It would have been kind of like you had to succeed in movies, and TV really wasn't even really discussed. So. But sometimes I get ideas in very unusual places. They're not always 100% fleshed out, but I just wanted to discuss one as just to show I do have a little bit of creativity. Maybe you don't always see it. There was a song on the radio the other day, and I think it was a Bruce Springsteen song, and he mentions a dead man's hand, which I believe refers to the Wild Bill Hickok death, where he died having a certain set of cards in his hands. And that immediately got me thinking, well, what if you had a story, and in the story you had 5 individuals. They're losers by reputation and situation, and losers not necessarily by talent. These people can't accomplish things, and together they're thrust into a situation against a supernatural antagonist, someone that can or wants to take them down. Like I said, this is 100% fleshed out, so their motivations are not really clear in my head. But somehow, despite the fact that all these odds are against these underdogs, these 5 individuals actually beat this supernatural antagonist. Well, he decides he's going to pull out his go-to card, and that's the Dead Man Hand's curse. And basically that puts a special curse on the 5 people generally that it's placed on. Basically, you're gripped by fear. Then you're kind of more inclined to want to be alone and run and hide. And in turn, a supernatural predator / Terminator then hunts you down and kills you. Well, what if these underdogs, who have already did something that shouldn't have been done in the first place, decide instead of running that they're going to stick together, and that they're going to be the family that none of them have really had in a long time, which does then very strange things to the curse, because basically it negates the rules or parameters that the supernatural Terminator follows. They're not afraid, they're not alone, and they're not running. So as a result, they having this negative karma of bad luck added to their doorstep. The flip side is they can then influence luck as a whole and individually, and do some really strange and incredible things. Each then has their own, I guess you could call, supernatural talent. Wasn't directly thinking about it at the time, but there was a movie that came out a few months ago called Beyond the Veil, which was the idea of robbing a casino with those with supernatural powers. Those supernatural powers could be also described as mutant powers, since one person could affect kinetic movement. One person could affect electronics, another gal could communicate her thoughts to all of them. So, kind of an Ocean's 11 on supernatural crack. So basically they're similar to those kind of, people. They have some unusual abilities as a group. So they're really not heroes. They're not mercenaries. They're basically thugs for hire. They are not really good guys or bad guys. They just tend to make money in very unusual ways, pissing off very high-powered and high influential people, who then, as a result, they have a huge list of enemies that would very much like to see them dead. Well, the problem then for them, and the good thing for them, for the Dead Man Hands group, is that the supernatural Terminator then has a very specific parameter of how it can take them out. So if that parameter isn't followed, it then has to do the flip side of keeping them alive in order to be able to kill them in a certain parameter. So basically, they're one of their greatest negatives then becomes this huge positive, because this, this Terminator, for lack of a better, but the supernatural guardian / Terminator, then is forced to initially help them and save them, keep them from dying. And probably as the story would go along, different stories, the supernatural Terminator Guardian would develop its own personality, something that it's never been allowed to do, since it only existed in phases long enough to take out a target. Instinct, no thought, it's not going to talk to you because it can't. But in this case, this group, being that it's alive way longer than this curse should have allowed them to be, they now have this kind of AI supernatural intelligence developing in this other character, who then doesn't want to lose that either, so it becomes more of a friend and ally to the group, knowing that if certain things fall the wrong way, it's going to have to then hunt them down. And basically the I guess you could say the days of future past for this particular group might be them seeing themselves, having one of their members die, which then would break morale, and they kind of start falling prey to the curse. As long as they stay together strong, they're pretty much invincible. They're going to be the long shots. If you've watched the latest season of Flash that just came out, the character Hazard, I mean, big people that are just going to be able to influence odds and probability to their favor constantly. So they're living high off life, thugs that they are. And there was a movie quite a few years ago that kind of had a split shot of all the characters, and Paul Walker, deceased Paul Walker, the guy that played young Anakin was on it, the guy that played Balder in the Thor movies was on it. I mean, basically kind of show these guys in dressy Ocean's 11, gangster outfits, and I just imagine most of the group would kind of dress like that, just because that's their style. And I didn't really, like I said, it's not so fleshed out as I could tell you all the characters' names. I just know obviously there has to be 5 of them. It's going to be a mixture of men and women, different nationalities. And when I kind of create an idea in my head, I generally have myself be one of the characters or be the main character, because I find that if I do that and then pull myself out of it, it fleshes out to generally what the character I think it probably should be anyway. And I said I just wanted to take the time to kind of roll out, because like I said, I'm driving home from work, and some song or some phrase will hit me, and instantly I'm in story writing mode. I'm thinking, how could I turn this into a story? How can I turn this into something that I haven't never seen before? And obviously, what I've described is going to be something you've seen in different places, but, I figure it would be basically equivalent of a comic book / TV show, but not cheesy comic book style. Something you've seen in canceled series like The Cape or something like that. Basically, is these guys got to live in the real world and the supernatural world, but in such a way that they're like they're very dysfunctional people. It's going to be a little dark, but at the same time it's going to be very sarcastic and a lot of fun. Something similar to the group, say, in Midnight Texas book series and TV show. These very different people, not really related by blood, but kind of bound together by circumstances that decide, hey, I'm going to be a family. So I just figured I'd throw that out. Sometimes I'll do that time from time just as a means of just kind of saying, hey, I thought about this and I thought it would be a cool idea. A lot of these ideas, honestly, I don't put down on paper. It's total laziness. There's no excuse. I'll just lay it out. I'm just not going to. But I just figured, with this, I'll just throw it out there and, maybe it'll turn into something. Maybe it'll be something good for someone else. But like I said, as ever, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you later.